I'd like to introduce you again to Michael Ridgway.
Hush and Allison summarised what Sackett originally described 16 years ago. And in this article, they've summarised what's involved. Now, if I focus only on research evidence, I'm missing 2/3 of evidence-based practice. It is the way I was taught, is to focus on the research. Anyone else? Yeah. I like this article very much. It excites me because it opens up a world of opportunity for us. And of course, what we get to present to you through the Ridgway method is objective clinical reasoning. Now, this has advantages that the other clinical reasoning processes for making decisions don't have. This has the advantage of no assumptions, no predictions, no beliefs along the way. In other words, just being purely scientific. We've got manual therapy, exercise therapy, electrotherapy, cognitive therapy. I think you know about it all. The list goes on. How many different schools of thought do we have within each of those types of therapy? So there's many factors to consider. Patient values. How fast does a patient want to get fixed? And does a patient, which I will call a client, really want to get fixed? How many decisions are there that are involved with a client, for what participation level they have, and how many factors influence what goes on for them? A lot. So then we've got research evidence. We are nicely familiar with that, so I won't summarise more of that. But there's a lot of factors to take into account there. So is anyone figuring out how complex this is? Yeah, we're all getting some nods? Oh my gosh, because we know about it all, right? So we've got all of these question marks now, because if you've got a client in front of you and it gets complex like this, which direction are you going to go? Which pieces of information are most important? Now that's where RM gets to help simplify it. Because if we know what's most important, it does not deny all the factors that are there at all, but it just helps us focus on the ones that will solve the problem the fastest. So we'll get to see this in action. We discussed what is the functional test that would indicate, if it were to improve, indicates we're on the right track for probably solving your problem. We had to go through it. We discussed what options, and we ended up with hip flexion. We'll do it supine. We'll do hip flexion supine. Your job through this process now is to spot, out of everything I've described, out of everything I do, your job is to spot how am I taking into account client values and prioritising that through the process. What sort of clinical expertise did I draw on, and what sort of research have I drawn on to perform this process? And if you can spot that, you can see where I'm coming from for evidence-based practice. Don't let the knee drift out. And you got it? And which one are we picking that's worst? Are we keeping the knee midline? You know, we've got to make sure we're not cheating. We don't want to let the knee drift out into abduction, and that would be a cheat. When you think it's not getting better on any new rep, is it more valuable to the client to go through evidence-based practice process that's objective and repeatable like this? That's what I'll ask you to think about. Thank you very much.